racism, sexism, homophobia. Just because you can't solve it and don't see it at every corner doesn't mean we shouldn't be aware of it and trying to address
Wow,
it.
do you really put those on the same level?
I absolutely
Racism
do.
and sexism,
Absolutely.
you put it on the same level
Absolutely.
as cultural appropriation?
That's exactly.
So if somebody wears their hair like you're wearing it, you put that on the same level as racism?
Absolutely. I put that on the same level as white supremacy, because white supremacy is intersectional.
This is crazy. This is insane. This is insane. This is insane.
These who have been called out, criticized, and condemned for cultural appropriation. Has anyone here ever called someone out for cultural appropriation? You too? You have? You have? Has anybody here ever thought twice about wearing something or doing something, even cooking something, out of fear of being accused of appropriation? You have?
Yes.
Yeah, what was it?
My daughter had braids and she wanted me to get braids that were just like hers.
Why her but not you?
She's half black and half white.
Okay.
And so I just think that some things should stick with those cultures.
Hey. Okay. We're really having these type of discussions over braids. Cultural appropriation, of course it makes sense. Kinda. Like, the phrase itself makes sense. You're appropriating someone else's culture. And I can see it being a bad thing if, for example, somebody's doing like blackface or they're trying to make fun of a culture. But as an entirety, it just doesn't make much sense to me. Like, you're telling me I can't do nothing from another culture just because it's theirs? Why? So when I wear a suit, am I appropriating European culture? Or when I use a straight razor to shave my face, am I appropriating white people? Or I don't even know if those cultures are from them. But all I'm saying is, in our country at least, everything is from different cultures, or a lot of things are from different cultures. Like the camera I'm using right now, this is not an American branded camera. Am I appropriating that? Like, I hope y'all get what I'm saying, man.
Whether you believe it's harmful or you think people should just be allowed to do what they want, there is no doubt this is a hot button topic that people are passionate about. Dr. Neil Lester, a professor of English at Arizona State University, right?
I am, yes.
And you've published, lectured, and taught extensively the area of African American studies.
Oh, brother.
What do you think about appropriation? Do you think this is a real thing, something that people need to be cognizant of? And if so, why?
Absolutely, absolutely. Well, because if we in fact are trying to look at the humanity of other people, and we are trying to live in a place where we are trying to be respectful and mindful of folks, then we need to be aware of things that are important to other cultures that don't necessarily look like us or share the same values. So it is a thing, and people need to be aware of.
Can anybody appropriate?
Anybody can appropriate, yes.
Not just white people?
Absolutely. Appropriation is intersectional. So old people can appropriate youth culture. Youth culture can appropriate old folks. People.
Oh my goodness, bro. This can't be real, bro. You're appropriating youth culture? What does that even mean? Okay, so if you're above the age of 70, you can't wear hoodies. This is only for us. It's only for me. You know how foolish that sounds? Like, that sounds... I can't take this serious. This can't be real. And of course, and don't get me wrong, there are examples, there are extreme examples where if you're making fun of someone else's age or race, then yeah, don't do that. But you're talking about if you want to wear a certain type of t-shirt, or you want to wear a pair of pants or a pair of shoes, unless it directly coincides to the way we perceive that you're supposed to dress or act, you can't do it. That is literally prejudice. Borderline, that's prejudice, bro. Like, bruh. Hey, y'all, make sure y'all subscribe to the channel. Don't forget to subscribe. life.
Who are not incarcerated can impersonate, prisoners or those who are incarcerated.
What?
Men appropriate women's attire for the sake of funny and mocking. So absolutely anybody can do it, and everybody on some level.
Did he say you could appropriate prisoners? Okay, he's just making stuff up at this point. You could appropriate somebody who's locked up. I've never even heard of that. What does that even mean? You can appropriate a prisoner. But they wear orange jumpsuits. I can't take this. He's a professor at somebody's school, man. Like, he's actually a professor. That means he has his PhD in some category. And he's teaching hundreds, maybe even thousands of students that they can appropriate prisoners. That you can appropriate old or young people. That I don't even know what that means, but
May have flirted with it.
Okay, but a lot of the time that people that I've seen are called out for this, it's not that they were making fun or mocking in some way. It was just that they had adopted a fashion or a style or whatever.
I would say that's a performance. So if somebody's culture and somebody's identity becomes a performance, then it's reductive. So if you're
What?
reducing, for example, say the civil rights movement to an afro, and you wear that, or you wear dreadlock wigs, that Rastafarians may wear, you do that because it's edgy, because it's cool, but ultimately because it's not you, and you're getting some kind of cultural capital from that by doing it.
And who's hurt
What?
by that?
Well, it's not a matter of who's hurt by it, it's who's being disrespected by it.
Well, who's being disrespected by it?
A whole culture of people whose identities are wrapped in whatever you're.
And you know why I hate these type of discussions, bro? Because he's basically trying to imply that you're disrespecting an entire culture. So what does that mean? That means if you're not disrespected by this type of stuff, according to him, using logical thinking, you must not be a part of the culture. Because if you were a part of the culture, you would find disrespectedness. So if you see a white person with locks or an afro, and if I don't get offended, then according to his logic, I'm not enough in the culture to be considered black, I guess. I don't know, man. All I gotta say is he's using a lot of fancy words and phrases to basically say nothing. So you're not hurting anyone, but you are disrespecting them by dressing or wearing whatever you want. Nah, bro. That's not true, man. That's not true. I'm sorry.
Into and can then take off.
Amala, you don't agree.
I don't. No.
You think worrying about appropriation is a waste of time?
I think not only is it somewhat a waste of time, but it's nearly impossible. You just mentioned there are nearly hundreds of ways that one could appropriate somebody else's culture or their livelihood. And to expect any one human being to keep on top of that throughout their entire life, I think, is an unrealistic ask. And I think imitation is a form of flattery. I appreciate my food by eating it. I appreciate the hair that I wear by wearing it, by putting on the clothes that I wear. And every single item around us in this room could probably be attributed to a certain culture. Do we have to constantly worry about what culture we gain things from?
Does intention have anything to do with
Well, I
it?
guess I didn't hear anything about anybody worrying about it. What I hear about when I think about and talk about cultural appropriation is people becoming more aware of it. We could say the same thing about racism, sexism, homophobia.
What?
Just because you can't solve it and don't see it at every corner doesn't mean we shouldn't be aware of it and trying to address
Wow.
it.
Bro, he is insane, bro. He is literally insane. Basically, everything in that room could be attributed to cultural appropriation. Like this shirt, these fabrics, they're from a certain culture. I don't know where. This head wrap from a certain culture. Camera from a certain culture. The changing lights in the background from a certain culture. The height of my bed from a certain culture. YouTube from a certain culture. Every drink I drink from a certain culture. It will literally be insane. That would be insanity to only do things from my culture. Literally 99% of the things I use, I wouldn't be able to use or eat or drink or wear anymore. So how come when we do it, it's okay. But when she said like, yeah, it doesn't make any sense. We do it all the time. It would be impossible to like focus on it. He starts bringing up racism and sexism that we need to start bringing more attention to it. What are you talking about? This is really driving me insane. Like, I can't take this.
You
So
really put those on the same level?
I absolutely do.
Racism and sexism, you put it on the
Absolutely.
same level
What?
as
Absolutely.
cultural appropriation?
That's
Hold up.
exactly
So-
racism, sexism, homophobia. Just because you can't solve it and don't see it at every corner doesn't mean we shouldn't be aware of it and trying to address
Wow,
it.
do you
So
really put those on the same level?
I absolutely do.
Racism and sexism, you put it on the same level as
Absolutely.
cultural appropriation?
That's exactly.
So if somebody wears their hair like you're wearing it, you put that on the same level as racism.
Absolutely. I
Oh
put that
my
on the same
gosh.
level as white supremacy because white supremacy is intersectional.
Do you have a story or a question for me? Click the link in the...
This is insane. This is insane. This is insane. He said, what? 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 So, white supremacy? So, dressing black or wearing black things or having a certain hairstyle that's attributed to being black is white supremacy. And I like how he said white supremacy. He didn't say race supremacy or your race supremacy. He distinctly pointed out white supremacy. And the reason that this is important is because earlier in the discussion, he said, "Oh, any race or any group of people can appropriate a culture." He starts talking about appropriating people in jail. I don't even know how that makes sense, but he somehow brought it up, and I knew he was full of it because how do you even appropriate someone in jail? I don't even know what that means. I've never heard that, but his true thoughts came out there at the end. White supremacy. So somehow, wearing black things is white supremacy. This is insane. This is an insane thought of reasoning. I hope. Anyways, if you have any suggestions or comments, say it below. It's LFR Jojo, and I'll see y'all on the next one.